What's the matter with you, Birdsworth?
How long do you reckon I'll get, Miss Bennett?
I've no idea.
Oh, probably about 18 months or 2 years. And what with remissions and that. Do you reckon Ellen and Josie will wait for me?
Well, you know them better than anyone.
Well, I don't know what I'd do if I lost them. I'm not a bad woman, am I, Miss Bennett? When you get set in your ways, it's hard to change.
If people don't accept you for what you are, they're not worth bothering about. The Huntleys have accepted you so far, Lizzie. I don't see why they'd change now.
You know, Miss Bennett, you're not half as rotten as some people think.
I hope this is important, Doreen.
Well, there's something you ought to know about Lizzie, Mrs. Davidson. She never killed Kay White. It was Linda Jones. She's only taken the rap for it so she can stay in here longer.
Well, that's quite a revelation, Doreen. I hope you realize the seriousness of what you have just told me.
Yes, Mrs. Davidson.
And you also realize the consequences if what you have told me is proven to be true.
Yeah, it means Linda Jones will be charged with manslaughter and the charges against Lizzie will be dropped.
Exactly. And Lizzie Birdsworth, B. Smith, you and everyone else involved in this little cover-up will be charged with conspiracy to pervert the course of justice, which should effectively add several months to all your sentences. Now, are you quite sure you don't want to change your story?
No, I don't want to change anything. If we get a few extra months, then that's what we deserve for getting mixed up in Lizzie's scheme in the first place.
Oh, I see. So now you're saying this whole thing was Lizzie's idea?
No, I'm not. Look, I've told you the truth about what happened. Kay had a go at Lizzie and Linda belted her over the head with an electric jug. Geez, Mrs. Davidson, you'd only have to look at Lizzie to see that she wouldn't have a show against Kay in an all-out blue. I mean, Lizzie's about as strong as...
Lizzie is quite capable of lifting an electric jug, isn't she?
Yeah, but what about...
All right, Burns, don't go on. I just wish you had come to me with this information earlier. It would have made it so much easier to get to the truth. Now it seems the only person who can effectively clean up this mess is Lizzie herself.
She won't change her story.
I will speak to her just the same. You can take her back now. No. On second thoughts, take her to an interview room. I think it might be wise to keep her separated from the others for the present. You can take her back after we get Lizzie Birdsworth in here.
Fletcher.
Edgar Davidson.
Yes, Mrs. Davidson.
Could you bring Lizzie Birdsworth to my office right away, please?
Well, actually, Mrs. Davidson, I've just signed off. I'll get Miss Bennett to bring her.
I'd rather you brought her yourself, Mr. Fletcher. I think you might be interested in what happens.
Very well, I'll be there. As soon as I sign back in again.
Are you trying to sneak away early?
For your information, Miss Bennett, I do not sneak away, and it's not early. In fact, my rostered shift ended 10 minutes ago.
Only because you drew up the rosters and passed the overtime on to everyone else.
If that's an official complaint, put it in writing.
And what if I did? Would that induce you to shoulder some of the burden created by our present staff shortage?
I think you'll agree, Miss Bennett, that in recent months I've done more than my fair share of overtime and double shifts.
Because it suited you.
Perhaps, and now it suits me to work on a regular 8-hour daily basis and have some time to myself for a change.
And that wouldn't have anything to do with the social life you've been engaging in lately, would it?
You're quite right, Miss Bennett, it wouldn't.
Yeah, well, she's just had a miscarriage, remember, Lizzie? Yeah. But I don't see what good Mrs. Davidson would be to her on that score.
Oh, well, there are some things you can talk over with your mates and some things you just can't.
Yeah. She's been gone a long time, though. Hey, I know what it might be.
What?
Mrs. Davidson told us that she'd help us with our investments.
Oh, well, I know. If it was about your investments, she would have taken you along, wouldn't she?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Birdsworth.
Yes, Mr. Fletcher?
Mrs. Davidson wants to see you.
What now?
Yes, now, come on.
There you are. Dora will be getting out soon, so she'll be getting our investments teed up with Mrs. Davidson.
Come on, Birdsworth.
Is Mrs. Davidson going to help me with my investments, Mr. Fletcher?
I've got no idea. All I know is that I'm supposed to be off duty now. Will you get a move on?
All right, Mr. Fletcher. Must be way past Mrs. Davidson's knocking off time too, Mr. Fletcher.
Now, come on, Lizzie. We can't stay here all night. Is there any truth in what Doreen has told me?
Yeah, I suppose there is. It's true Kay White had a go at me, but that's it. Nobody else hit her over the skull with a jug. That was me.
And Jones had no part in the affair?
No. How could she? She was nowhere near the place. Look, Mrs. Davidson, he was there. Did you see Linda Jones anywhere near that cell?
No, I didn't.
There you are, then.
Doreen told me that you hid Linda behind the cell door. That is why Mr. Fletcher did not see her at the time. Then she was able to slip away later.
Oh, look, Mrs. Davidson, I reckon Doreen's lost her marbles. Fair dinkum. Maybe it's on account of she lost that kid. I reckon she's got it all twisted up in her head about Linda getting out, and now she's got her boy. You know. Maybe it's because we was both going out together, and now she's scared because she's got to go out on her own. Oh, I don't know why Doreen done this, Mrs. Davidson. It's true I sconned Kay White, but I'm willing to take me punishment. I suppose I'm lucky that some of my mates are willing to lie for me when I'm in a bit of a spot. But I have to live with myself.
All right, Lizzie, that will be all. Mr. Fletcher?
Wait for me outside, Lizzie. You're not convinced?
Are you?
Well, it makes sense in a way. Doreen did take the loss of a baby pretty badly, and she was expecting Lizzie to be released with it. Nevertheless, perhaps we should raise the issue with the VJ.
No, I don't know that there's any point in that. It seems as though it's Doreen's word against everyone else's.
There's still Linda Jones.
Good night, Mr. Fletcher. You bloody idiot. I ought to kick you fair and square in the guts.
Let it go easy, Lizzie. Doreen's not exactly as well as she might be, you know.
Not well is right. In the head is where she's not well.
I was only doing it for you, Lizzie.
Doing what?
Spilling the beans to Davo about what really happened to Kay.
Bloody hell.
Bloody hell is right. Just when I thought I'd done a fairly good job of convincing Flesh and Davo that you was talking out the back of her neck, but
what?
But tomorrow morning on his way to work, Fletcher's going to see Linda. Oh. Lying there crying your heart out ain't gonna do any good.
I'm sorry, Lizzie.
I think it's about time you explained, Doreen. Now, come on, why did you do it?
I got scared.
Bullshit.
Shut up, let her explain. Scared of what?
Everything. Living in that big house on my own, no friends, everything. I mean, it was going to be all right when we got out together, but you had to stick your bib in to get Linda off.
Oh, yes, what I thought it might have been. But why on earth didn't you come and talk to one of us instead of going and shooting your mouth off?
Well, would that have made Lizzie change her mind about covering up for Linda?
Of course it wouldn't. Linda had a boy to think of, and you're just being bloody selfish.
I'm selfish? What about you? The only reason you took the blame for Linda killing Kay White was because your so-called daughter and granddaughter are in the States for a couple of years, and it suits you to stay in Wentworth with all your mates. It's worked out real nice for you, hasn't it? Well, what about me? I'm out of here in a few weeks' time. I've lost my baby, and the husband I never lived with divorcing me, and I got no family, and just because I try to get some friend, one mate on the outside with me, I'm selfish.
Okay, come on, Doreen. Don't go getting all upset. Now, does anyone mind if I try and get across my few thoughts on the matter? Now, I don't know what Lizzie's reasons were for taking the rap for Linda, but as far as I can see, it's the only fair way. I mean, Linda's got a kid to think about. It's not going to do him any good if she gets stuck in here for another couple of years. And there is one other small point that everyone seems to have missed.
What's that?
What do you think would have happened if Linda hadn't stepped in and dropped Kay, Lizzie here would have been dead. Kay White would have copped a murder charge, and we would have been lumbered with the bitch for an extra 20 years. As it is, everything's back to normal, except we've got rid of Kay White, and Lizzie's got, what, another 18 months added to her sentence? Well, a small price to pay, I'd say. Wouldn't you? Okay. Next chance you get, how about changing your story?
There's only one thing, Bea. Supposing Linda does go to Jelly, we're going to be in one hell of a spot then, aren't we?
Oh, thanks.
Any better?
I'll give them a chance to work.
Maybe a hair of the dog would do the job quicker.
I've already told you, I think I'm in for a bout of the flu.
And you'd better dose yourself up with vitamin C, Miss Bennett. Can't afford to have you taking time off. We're short-staffed as it is. Oh, and while I think of it, Mr. Fletcher will be late getting in this morning. So would you take charge until he arrives?
That's all very well, but don't you think the Deputy Governor could have made a special effort to be here on time? Especially since he's so adamant about leaving on time.
Miss Bennett, I said Mr. Fletcher would be late getting in. That does not mean he will be late starting. He happened to be engaged in prison work elsewhere at my request.
Oh, Mr. Fletcher, I thought it was Danny back again. He's always forgetting something. Oh, come in.
No, thanks, Linda. I've got to get to Wentworth.
Well, what can I do for you?
Well, I don't quite know how to put this. Doreen Burns spoke to the governor and she's made certain allegations.
Oh? What about?
About Kay White, you, and Lizzie Birdsworth.
What about us?
Well, Doreen claims that it was you who hit Kay, not Lizzie.
She says I killed Kay.
Yes. And that Lizzie took the blame so that you'd get your parole.
Have you spoken to Lizzie about this?
Yes, we have.
What did she tell you?
Well, she said that Doreen was off a rocker, amongst other things.
Yeah. Well, I reckon that's about it. I mean, hell, that's a ridiculous thing to say.
So you deny it?
Deny it? Oh, of course I deny it. I'm surprised at you even bothering to ask me about it. Well, from what I heard, you found Lizzie and Kay in the cell. I was nowhere near the place.
Well, Doreen says that you hid behind the door.
What? Oh, that's rubbish.
Well, it's never been established where you were at the time, Linda. So where were you?
Oh, now, come on. I could have been anywhere. In the kitchen, the laundry, delivering meals to isolation. The one place I definitely wasn't was in that cell with Lizzie and Kay.
Oh, son of a bitch! Will you look at that now? Put it through the dryer, will you? Bea, please, come and fix this bloody machine, will you?
Oh, I shouldn't really, but I'll give it a go. Usually needs adjusting down here with us.
Smith! What exactly are you doing at that machine?
Nothing.
Well, get away from it. Right away.
Come on, Miss Bennett. I mean, it's broken. She's the only one who knows how to fix
You
it.
stay out of this, Brian.
I can't stay out of it. I'm the one that has to use the bloody stupid flaming machine. She's the only one who knows how to fix it. Oh, please, Miss Bennett, let her have a go at it.
Smith was instructed to keep well away from that machine, and keep away she will. And you'd better watch your language, Bryant.
All right, then buggy your machine. See if I can.
Yes, Smith. We'll see if you care. Until that steam press is repaired, all the pressing will be done by hand.
Oh, I get it, and I'm the bunny that gets the job, right?
Yes, Smith, so get to it.
Well, it'll take me a couple of seconds to fix that.
You're to do as you're told, and you're to stay away from that machine. Is that understood, Smith?
Yes, Vera, all right, I get it. We could be here all night.
Then you'll be here all night.
Oh, come on, Bea. Give the bloody thing a good kick in the guts and put that iron back in the cupboard.
No fear. Old Vinegar wants this done the slow, hard way. You'd be amazed at how long this could take.
So what? Doreen went to the governor with a story that she cooked up or something. But she probably only did it because Lizzie's her friend.
Yeah, but that's not the point. Geez, you've got a lot to learn, haven't you?
Yeah, I suppose I have. So tell me why all the fuss?
Because it's just not done, that's why. Look, Kay White got clobbered and Lizzie said she'd done it. Okay? That's it then. No point stirring things up.
Yeah, but they probably wouldn't believe Doreen or anyone for that matter if Lizzie's already confessed.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't think so, would you? But then there's no accounting for the screws. I reckon they're still not convinced Lizzie did it, who being that much older and frailer than Kay White. And anyway, you give them half a reason to start messing up our lives and away they'll go. And I'll tell you something else. Doreen had better start watching herself because of what's...
Don't look now, but...
Oh, hi, Mr. Fletcher. What are you doing down here?
Messing up your life.
You heard what I was saying.
Every word.
Oh, see what I mean? That Doreen Burns, this is all her fault. Just wait till B hears about this.
Well, couldn't you make it first thing in the morning? I see.
What is it?
They can't fix the press for at least 2 days.
Give me that phone. Hello? Who am I talking to, please? Fine. Will you listen to me, Mr. Carter? That steam press, which your people claim is functioning perfectly, has broken down again. Now, I want it fixed immediately, or otherwise we'll be looking around for another service company. Is that understood? No, Mr. Carter. You don't just try and get somebody out here. You do it. Now, if there isn't a service technician out here within the hour, let me know.
And then what?
I beg your pardon, Mrs. Davidson?
If there is not someone out here to fix the steam press in an hour, then what?
Well, I'll get another service company.
File this for me, please, Wendy.
Yes, Mrs. Davidson.
I think you might find that's rather a tall order, Miss Bennett. As far as I know, there is only one service company equipped to handle our particular press, and you just hung up on them.
Oh.
Oh, indeed. What's the matter with the press this time?
Well, it doesn't seem to be getting up any heat.
Well, can't B. Smith fix it?
Well, she's probably the one who's sabotaging it. I've instructed her to stay well away from the press, and I'll be keeping my eye out to make sure she does.
Excuse me, Mrs. Davison. Could I have a word with you?
Yes, certainly. Mr. Fletcher, what is it?
Well, could we talk in your office, please?
Of course. Would you let me know what happens about that press?
Oh, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
My name is Baldwin, Charles Baldwin.
What can we do for you, Mr. Baldwin?
I'd like to see one of your inmates. Birdsworth. Lizzie, I believe she's called.
Among other things. If you'll sign in over there, I'll arrange an interview room for you.
And during this conversation, which you overheard, were there any direct threats made against Doreen?
Well, no, not threats exactly. It was more an attitude. Well, you know how the women get sometimes when somebody does something that goes wrong, suddenly they're to blame for everything that goes wrong.
And this is how it was with Doreen, you say?
Well, that was my impression, yes.
Well, she may have dislodged 1 or 2 friendships during her recent behavior, but I think they'll settle down in time.
So you don't think we should separate her from the main building?
On the contrary, I think she should be separated, but for different reasons.
No?
Well, the conversation you had with Linda Jones this morning.
Yes.
Well, from what she told you, from what we know already, and from what Lizzie has said, it would seem that Doreen has dreamt up this story.
Yes.
Now, why would she do that?
To get her friend Lizzie off the hook.
Precisely, in the hope that the 2 of them would be released together.
But that won't happen now because Lizzie will get an added sentence.
Which shatters Doreen's plans of a future for them together.
True enough. But why segregate Doreen because of this?
Well, I think that the sooner she is weaned from her friends in here, the better. Otherwise, when the time does come for her release, she may do something stupid and try to get rearrested. Need I remind you of the trouble we had with Lizzie trying to get back inside?
No, definitely not. So what do you suggest we do with Doreen? I mean, we can't do her any good by putting her into solitary.
No, I was thinking more in the terms of the maternity wing. You can make the arrangements straight away.
All right, well, at least it'll get her away from B. Smith & Co., which was what I was after in the first place. But your reasons are probably far more valid.
Mrs. Birdsworth, I appreciate your frankness. It makes my task very easy in many ways. It would undoubtedly make things much easier for the courts, too. But I wonder if you realize the seriousness of what you've just told me.
Oh, yeah. I think I've been in here long enough to have learned a thing or 2. I can plead guilty to manslaughter, can't I?
Yes, you can, of course. But don't you think that you'd be better off pleading not guilty on grounds of self-defense?
No, I don't.
Why not?
Well, I'd have to prove that Kay White had it in for me, and that wouldn't be easy. And then I'd have to call a lot of my mates as witnesses and all that.
But you've already told me that Linda Jones will attest to the fact that Kay White was running an SP book here in Wentworth.
Yeah, that's right.
And that Judy Brandt will also testify that White was set up so that you could deprive her of the funds necessary for running her book.
Yeah, we got the idea for that out of the film, The Sting.
Then surely if these people were prepared to come forward with this evidence, they would come forward with substantiating evidence that Kay White was capable of violence, that she attacked you, and that you acted in self-defense.
Yeah, I suppose they could.
Well, then.
Oh, no, it's too messy. I'll just plead guilty of manslaughter, and that'll be the end of it.
Do you know what you're facing if you're... Or rather, I should say, when you're convicted?
Yeah, 2 years. But with remissions, I suppose, about 18 months.
Exactly. And that doesn't bother you?
No. It'll all work out quite nicely, actually. See, my family's in America, and they won't be back for about 12 to 18 months, and so...
Oh, I see.
Oh, Miss Bennett, have you seen Mrs. Jackson?
I can't see that has anything to do with you.
Well, she did save my life, Miss Bennett, if there's anything I can do.
What could you possibly do for her from in here?
Well, you and she seem to be friends.
What gave you that impression?
You have been to see her, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
And?
She'll live.
Oh, Lizzie, how'd you go? All right, I reckon. He's going to plead mitigating circumstances.
How long does he reckon you'll get?
2 years. Who's that?
Oh, that is what you call one of your actual flaming experts, which means he hasn't got a bloody clue. Listen, son, what's your name again?
Ken.
Ken. All right, Ken, what you do is you put the whole bloody lot back together again, get out your little hammer and give it a good sharp tap round about there.
Now, listen, lady.
Look, you can call me B if you like, or even Ms. Smith, but I am no lady.
Yeah, well, I reckon the element's broken, and if I start
what
knocking
do you mean the element's broken? This needs a good hard Smith.
You put your foot 1 inch closer to that press and you'll be in solitary for a month. Now step back. Well, thank you for coming so quickly. I'm the officer who contacted your company earlier.
Oh.
Any idea what's wrong with it?
The element's busted.
Can you fix it?
Well, I don't think so. It needs a new part, I reckon.
Well, how long will that take?
It depends how fast the boat is. I might be able to patch it up, though. Get you out of trouble for
Look,
the time
Ken,
being.
all you need to do is give it a good hard kick.
You get out of here, Smith. I'll deal with you later. Go on, all of you.
Dor, what are you doing?
I'm moving out.
Has your parole come through already?
No, I'm going to another section.
What section?
Maternity.
Listen, Dor, if what happened between me and Kay and Linda, well, we're still mates. As far as I'm concerned, what's gone's gone. So if you're moving out on account of the...
I'm moving out on account of Mrs. Davidson wants me to.
Mrs. Davidson?
Yeah.
But why another section and why maternity?
Well, Mr. Fletcher says it's for my own good.
I see how they work that out. Maternity?
Burns,
Mr. Fletcher, what are you doing to her?
looking after her best interests. Are you ready?
Yep.
Dor! Dor! You forgot something.
No, I didn't, Lizzie. It's growing up time.
We still mates?
Yeah, we're still mates.
Jones, what are you doing here?
Oh, Mr. Fletcher, I was wondering if I could see Lizzie for a minute.
Why do you want to see Lizzie?
Oh, I just wondered how she was. Her hearing's tomorrow, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And because of that, you can't see her. You know you're to appear as a witness tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, but are you sure I can't see her? Just for a minute.
Why do you want to see her? Make sure you got your story straight, eh?
Stories? Oh, what stories?
Linda, are you sure you've told me all you know about White's death?
Oh, of course I have, Mr. Fletcher. I mean, what reason would I have of keeping information from you?
You tell me.
Yeah, well, if I can't see Lizzie, I suppose there's not much point in my hanging round, is there?
No.
Oh, well. See ya.
Good morning.
Good morning, Miss Bennett.
As you can see, we've managed to repair the press. Bryant, you will continue to use it, and Smith, you will stay right away from it. Now get back to work.
Looks like things are frying again, folks. Oh, God. Bloody hell. Miss Bennett! Stupid thing isn't working.
What are you talking about? Who did this?
Nobody did it. I just came in here, stood up, tried to use it, and as you can see, nothing.
Did she touch it?
I didn't go anywhere
Near it.
Well, I think you did. I think you're deliberately sabotaging this press, and you can damn well fix it.
No way known, Vera.
How about a week in solitary?
Oh, she's persuasive, isn't she?
Very.
All right, look out. You ready for this?
Yep.
Well, I hope you're not taking the afternoon off.
No. As a matter of fact, I'm working a double shift, so I thought I'd take an extended lunch hour. I've got some business to attend to.
Oh.
You all right, Vera?
Yes, I'm fine.
You don't look it.
However, you must know I've spent the entire morning in the laundry. I'm sure that woman's at the bottom of it.
Which woman?
Smith. I'm sure she's sabotaging the press just so that she can make fools out of us by fixing it with a kick. I mean, who ever heard of...
Oh, just a minute. Don't go blowing a gasket. Is the press working now?
Yes.
Well, there's a sure way to find out whether she's sabotaging it or not.
Oh?
Well, yeah, why don't you get rid of her for a few days, see if the press breaks down or not?
Yes, I could put her on kitchen detail for a while and... Well, thank you, Mr. Fletcher.
Don't mention it. Well, here's to a pleasant lunch.
Here's to hoping for a fast cook.
You're not in a hurry, are you?
Well, not desperately, but I do have an appointment this afternoon.
Oh.
Unlike you with your established contracting business, I'm still on the way up. I've got a rather important meeting with my partner this afternoon.
No, I never thought of you as the businesswoman type.
Really? What did you think of me as?
I don't know, but certainly not a career girl anyway.
It just shows how wrong you can be. Now, I'd never have picked you for a builder.
Oh? Why?
Soft hands.
Well, the boss cocky never gets his own hands dirty.
Good. I like soft hands.
Well, tell me all about this important meeting.
Well, Julian and I have decided that it's time to expand. We've been coasting along quite nicely with the interior decorating business, but, well, for ages now, we've been thinking about getting into other areas. Spec building, mainly. You know, total package, house, land, landscaping, furnishings. Hey, why don't you come in with us? You're a builder. It would be an ideal arrangement. You build and we furnish and decorate them.
Well, I don't know.
Oh, well, you could at least think about it.
Well, yes, there's no harm in that, I suppose.
No, of course not. I tell you what, are you tied up this afternoon?
No. Well, not until 3 o'clock, anyway.
Fine. Well, let's have lunch and you can come and meet Julian. He's the best in the business and I just love him to bits.
Just a minute. Smith, is that press still working?
Like the proverbial well-oiled clock, Miss Bennett.
Good. Well, we'll make sure it stays that way. Get down to the kitchen.
What? Why?
Because I said so. I've changed your detail.
What happens if the press breaks down again?
I doubt that it will. Now get going. There's a pile of plates waiting for you. Bryant, you can take over the press again.
That's what I was afraid of.
And that's basically it. Well, what do you say?
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, look, you don't have to decide now, but you've heard the plans. And you've met Julian.
Yes. It's surprising we've not met before, you being so big in the building game.
Yes, it is surprising, isn't it?
He's the best in the business, Jim.
Yes, I'm sure he is. Well, look, let me think about it, will you? In the meantime, I've got to be getting back. I'll call you.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, what do you think of him?
Think of him, dear me, I really don't know. Tell you one thing, though. If he's in the building game, I'm Fred Astaire.
Come on, Lizzie.
What?
You're standing there daydreaming. I'm going as slow as I can on this stupid thing, and I'm still miles ahead of you.
Sorry, love. I was thinking about me hearing tomorrow.
Oh, you're not worried about that, are you?
A bit.
Well, you shouldn't be. I mean, you're going to be all right, you'll see, and got me as a star witness.
I'm not worried about your story, Jude. But what if Linda turns to jelly?
She won't, honey. Obviously, Fletch would have said something now if he'd heard anything from her.
There's a bit of a difference between Fletch asking some dumb, silly questions and one of them smart aleck legalists getting stuck into her in court.
Hey, now you stop worrying. Everything's going to be all right. I promise.
Yes, good night, Sally.
Well, these double shifts must be playing havoc with your social life. How was lunch?
It was very pleasant, thanks very much. Don't forget, you've got double shift tomorrow.
Don't worry. I'll be having a quiet, restful evening and an early night, so I'll be ready and raring to go in the morning.
Good.
Oh, Jim. I'm going to visit Meg. Are there any messages?
No, just tell her that we miss her and hope she's better soon.
Night.
Night.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Vera. I just feel it's all my fault.
No, it's not your fault, Meg. You weren't to know there would be a shooting.
Yes, I know. I feel bad about you doing those double shifts. Couldn't they get some temporary help from one of the other prisons?
What do you want us to get, another jock steward? No, thanks. I'll take the double shifts any time.
Anyway, the doctor said I can go home tomorrow, so it shouldn't be long before I'm back on the job.
Don't you go rushing back to work until you're 100% fit.
Good evening.
Oh, how nice to see you. You know Vera?
Yeah, oh, wait.
Fine. I'd better be going, Meg. I've got a busy day tomorrow.
All right, then. Well, thanks for coming in and give my love to everyone, won't you?
Yes. Bye. Goodbye.
Hope I haven't interrupted anything.
No, of course not.
Well, how are you feeling?
Oh, hey, lovely. I'm fine. Fine, thanks.
Good.
I'll get it. Hello?
Sarah, it's me.
Oh, hello, Jim. You just called me. I was just on my way home. Well, have you come to a decision on my business proposition?
Yes, I'm not sure that I can afford the time to get actively involved, but I do have a bit of cash if you need it.
You mean as a silent partner?
Yes, well, anything more than that, and I'd have to spread myself a bit too thin.
You don't have to explain, Jim. I know exactly what you mean.
Well, there's about 10,000 here if you need it.
Oh, well, let me have a chat with Julian, and I'll get his thoughts on it and ring you back later. Are you at home now?
No, I'm on a job, actually.
Well, give me the number there, and I'll call you back in half an hour.
No, don't do that. Look, we're just about to leave here. Why don't I ring you in the morning?
All right. I'll be here from about 8:30, okay?
Yes, fine. Bye for now.
That was Jim Fletcher. He has 10,000 that he wants to put into our expansion program. What do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I don't really feel right about it, actually. Does he want an answer immediately?
No, he's going to ring me in the morning.
Well, see if you can put him off for a while, will you? I'd really like to know more about him before we get too heavily involved. Financially, I mean.
Oh, is that the time?
Well, that's only the first bell. You don't have to go yet.
No, look, I'd better be getting along, but why don't I call for you tomorrow and take you home?
That's nice of you to offer, but I'll be fine, really.
Well, why don't I phone you tomorrow evening when you're at home?
Oh, yes, I'd like that.
Good. Well, bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, Dot, and take care of yourself. Yes?
Shall do, Mr. Morris.
Bye.
He's gone.
Yes.
No, I don't mean he's gone as in left. I mean he's gone as in head over heels.
Don't be ridiculous.
All right, you mark my words. I'd say 3 weeks.
3 weeks for what?
For him to pop the question.
Oh, now you are being ridiculous.
Oh, we'll see. And if he does, you be sure and say yes. He's far too good a catch to let go, if you ask me.
No one's asking you.
Oh, well, if you want to finish up a hard old spinster like you made Vera.
How did you know Vera was a spinster?
Of course she's a bloody spinster. Unless she changes her attitude, she's going to stay that way.
Centre wing, but nobody there with Millwall who marked.
Will you put that damn thing down? Doreen will be all right.
I don't know so much. How many women do you reckon there are in maternity?
Oh, how would I know? 2, 3?
Yeah. Wonder if she's got to be friends with any of them yet.
Bound to have by now.
I wish I could talk to her for a minute. Tell her I'm sorry.
Sorry for what?
Oh, well, I was pretty rough on her, you know.
You were rough on her? Crikey, she almost blows the gaff on a lot of us and you want to apologise.
Yeah, but still...
Listen, you know what I wish? I hope somebody up there in maternity scrubs her off. And she might suffer a bit and learn that you don't do those sort of things to your mates. And will you put that stupid thing down? Look. Doreen will be all right. You should be worrying about your hearing tomorrow.
Bugger the hearing. I'll get 18 months, so what?
And while my client has entered a plea of guilty to manslaughter, it is our intention to introduce evidence to the effect that there were mitigating circumstances and to call upon the court to give the defendant every possible benefit in terms of the minimum sentence prescribed under the law.
Thank you, Mr. Baldwin. You may call your first witness.
If Your Honour pleases, the prosecution calls Matthew James Fletcher.
Oh, what a lovely sight, all those figures in black.
Yes, after all those years in the red.
We don't really need anybody else's money, do we? He hasn't phoned yet, has he?
If you mean Jim Fletcher, no, he hasn't phoned. And no, we don't need his money. Mind you, though, there are certain transactions which don't need to have cash changing hands in order to form a partnership.
Oh, we're not letting the grass grow under our feet, are we?
No.
Well, if you want to trot him up the aisle, that's up to you, my love. But if you're contemplating bringing him into the business, either as an active or silent partner, that concerns us both. And I, for one, say again, I don't like the idea.
Oh, really, Julian, you are a cynic. I mean, what possible harm could there be in Jim putting $10,000 into the business? It's not as if he'd be buying a controlling interest at that price.
Maybe not, but it could be the thin edge of the wedge. I mean, combine your shares with his and...
Don't you trust me?
Implicitly. As long as you've got your eyes open. But they do say love is blind.
But you don't trust Jim.
I don't know Jim. So please, let me be a cynic and practice a bit of caution with my investment.
Are you denying then, Mr. Fletcher, that an SP book was being run by the deceased within Wentworth Detention Centre?
No. No, but if there was one, I certainly didn't know anything about it.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. No further questions.
The witness may step down.
The prosecution now calls Linda Mary Jones.
Call Linda Mary Jones.
There we are. That's it, I think.
You'd better make sure. Anything left behind automatically becomes the property of the last remaining patient. And that's me.
You're welcome to it. Thanks for the company.
You too. Pity we couldn't have met under less traumatic circumstances.
Well, at least we did. And that's one good thing to come out of it.
And here comes another.
Good day. I was
But I've got a taxi coming.
You had?
What?
You had a taxi coming. I dismissed it downstairs. So whether you like it or not, you are going to have to take advantage of my offer of a lift home.
I accept.
That sounds encouraging, Bob. You want to get in quick while she's in an accepting mood. No telling what she might say yes to.
Will you stop that?
You take care of yourself.
Yes, you too.
Keep in touch, huh?
Yes, I'll come and see you soon.
Good. Oh, and when you start sending out invitations for the, well, don't forget the invalid here.
Hey, what are you doing back here? Is it all over? Oh, it was over for me a long time ago. I got stood down. The judge said it was okay for me to come back with Fletch.
Yeah, how's it going?
Oh, it seemed okay. That Baldwin character's working overtime on the mitigating circumstances bit.
What about the judge? You reckon he's got Baldwin on side?
Can't tell by looking at their faces. You know, they show nothing. So I don't suppose they're meant to.
Hey, were you in court when Linda gave her evidence?
No, they kept us in the witness room till we were called.
God, I hope she didn't bugger things up.
Oh, I think it went okay. Actually, she was on before me, so I didn't have a chance to speak to her because they whizzed me back here. But when I was on the stand, Lizzie, she gives me a huge wing. I was right across the whole bloody courtroom.
That sounds like everything's going okay then.
Yeah, well, if you can tell by the look on Lizzie's face, she's expecting a free pardon.
And finally, the bruising round the defendant's neck. Bruising sustained when the deceased viciously attacked her. Your Honor, these are the mitigating circumstances I spoke of at the beginning of these proceedings. I believe we have proven our point, and I urge the court to exercise leniency.
First of all, I would like to commend counsel for the defendant. He has done as he said he would do in introducing evidence to this court which would indicate mitigating circumstances, and he has been most persuasive. I have considered these and other contributory factors. The court accepts that the deceased did attack the defendant, causing her actual bodily harm. However, it would seem from the evidence presented to this court that the deceased was greatly provoked by the actions of the defendant in attempting to usurp her activities. In consideration of all these facts, I feel I must impose a somewhat heavier sentence than that called for by the defense. Elizabeth Josephine Birdsworth, I sentence you to 5 years imprisonment with a non-parole period of 3 years, this sentence to be served concurrently with existing sentences. This court is adjourned.
He used to give me roses. I wish he could again. But that was on the outside, and things were different then. On the inside, the sun still shines, and the rain falls down. But the sun and rain are prisoners too.